Oh man, I was into the music. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's Daniel Allison, the average dude, and
Winny,
who jumped the gun. That shows enthusiasm.
I did. I got excited.
She's like,
well, I never get to be in the same screen with you.
we're in the same screen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We both had to brush our teeth this morning because
Yep.
we're sitting a little close.
A little bit.
Sitting a little close this morning. But the show must go on, and that's exactly what's happening. We do this every single week. We talk, we meet great people.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing has changed today.
Nope.
But what is happening, we're in a house in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yes, we are.
How many people are in this house?
Too many. No, I'm kidding. I love
Too
them
many people.
All of our family.
All of our family. So we do this once a year, and we've been in the same house, but we have a lot of fun.
Oh, we do.
We have a lot of fun. So we did settle aside a little time to do what we enjoy doing, which is getting on Winny The Average Dude and talk to some great people.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got to mention this though.
Yeah, please.
Last night, and hopefully one day we're going to share these with everybody because Daniel's parents happened to bring out some old videos of
old videos.
We used to like do commercials and stuff that you'd see. And so I did an old Campbell's soup commercial. I was 14. It was a great look for me back then.
Yeah.
And Daniel did the skit from SNL, Hans and Franz.
Back when that was a real thing. And I mean, I know my natural physique would have fit.
Yeah.
But I did stuff a few pillows.
We had to exaggerate it a little bit.
Had to exaggerate the Hans and Franz look. But those are so much fun. Doing videos when you're younger, and then you have all the family get together and you look back, you reminisce, and you laugh at how you were and maybe how you are.
Yeah, I know. And your kids look at you and like, God. They're like, how old are you there, Mom? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
And time goes fast. That's the other thing.
Real fast. Too fast.
Time goes too fast. What I will say, I drove down here by myself. I was listening to a book. It's called The Creative Act. Have you ever heard of that book?
No.
Rick Rubin?
No.
So he's a music producer, and he helps people kind of tap into their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of good ideas, but he was talking about how you get into that same routine and things get kind of mundane and
monotonous.
So, right. He says to create new rules for yourself and kind of do things different than you've been doing them. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about what we do with this and having us in the same room. It's a different dynamic.
Yep.
But he was talking about, if you're let's say you're some type of performer, a comedian, you're giving a speech, but you give that speech to your parents, it feels one way. You give it to maybe your aunt and uncle, it feels a different way.
Yep.
We change how we act and behave, and it really creates. You can make yourself uncomfortable doing something that you always do just by a little change. But Rick Rubin, oh yeah, I remember you read that book, Eric Ryan. I think we talked about it a little bit, but he's got some great ideas in that. And
what's it called again?
It's called The Creative Act with that name.
And it's just changing up your
norm. He's got it. He's just almost like a hippie type fella. Looks like the guys from Led Zeppelin. Long hair, sunglasses. He's not a musically talented person. He's just talented in knowing what sounds good and helping people get comfortable. And it's really interesting. Mm-hmm. So he kind of pulls back the curtain and lets people know how he's been helping them create it. So maybe Heidi Rue, one of our guests that's going to be on here, maybe she's talked to someone that's helped her with her performing and that sort of thing.
Her creativity and stepping out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like even here today, like you said, we're sitting side by side.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this once before.
We've done it.
I mean, we did it live on location
a couple of times.
But that was just stressful in itself.
That was a different kind of stress.
But here, I mean, this is a different dynamic because normally, we were already arguing a little bit beforehand.
Not arguing, discussing in a very heated manner.
Exactly. I'd like to pull back the curtain. So I was like, Daniel, I mean, Daniel's right here. And I was like, is this good? And he's like, I think that's good.
Yeah, I'm like, a little further that
Just
way.
Go a little bit
further that way.
Yeah, it nailed it.
So what we're going to do, we're about 6 minutes in. Rules direct us to average behavior.
That must be in that book.
Absolutely. So creating new rules for yourself, changing what is comfortable just by making up your own rules and saying, okay, I can't do I can't. I did something on a LinkedIn video one time. I gave myself a rule. I tend to go a little long on the LinkedIn videos.
You're like,
you can only do 30 seconds. So you've got 30 seconds to get out that message. So we'll keep tapping back into that creative act because that's on the mind and the beach and all that good stuff. But first, we're going to introduce our guest. Guest number one, let's introduce and talk to Ariel Lee.
woohoo!
Ariel Lee, welcome.
Let me get it where Daniel likes it here.
Oh,
wait a minute. We can't do that.
I was going to say we may have to keep them bigger. This is fine, I think.
That will be fine.
This is good.
Yes.
Ariel, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit upset that I wasn't invited to the Allison family beach trip. But other than that, I'm super excited to be talking to you guys today.
Ariel, I'm telling you, next year you're on it. We're going to do it we're going to have a sofa over here. We do have one. We'll interview you from the sofa.
Let me just say, I want to say a few good things about Ariel Lee, if that's okay. So I've known Ariel for probably about, I guess, 2.5 years now, Ariel, something
maybe
like
even 3. I feel like it's.
I think it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had some connections. Of course we're from the same town, so we knew some. So we had some common folks that we knew, including her husband, as a matter of fact. And
and Jenny Winnie's brother, right? Roger.
That's right.
Yeah, so I was talking with Roger about all that, and so I know that you've been in the car business. You had tremendous success in the car business. So I do want to talk some about that. And now you're doing new and exciting things in your new role. And then on LinkedIn, I saw one of your first posts, and I told someone, I said, "You watch this. She's going to do fantastic on LinkedIn because you're natural." I mean, I think it's a talent to be as real and authentic and talk about what's happening in your daily life and make it interesting. So you tie all that together. So you do an incredible job with that. And so I learn a little something every time I watch you do that. But so tell me, what's the key to the LinkedIn? Does it come naturally for you?
Well, I think that talent must just be not getting to the point where you're old enough not to really care or stress about what other people think of you.
I think that's right there, Ariel, is getting to that point where you don't worry about it.
And for a long time, I did everything I could to stuff myself into other people's boxes. And it never got me very far. And so when it was time to come to LinkedIn, my first few months there, I mean, I started, so I'm not able to talk about what I currently do for a living on any sort of recorded thing. But I started this new business building smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. So I knew that LinkedIn was going to be important, and there were like experts that were there to tell us how to do it, and messages they recommended that we send. And it was terribly ineffective. I did it that way for a few months because I didn't know any better, and I just got 0 results, and I was like beating my head up against the wall. What's going on? Why doesn't anybody want to talk to me? And finally, I realized that I needed to sort of take off those, perfectly polished professional pants and just show up, because that's not who I am in real life. I'm not like a stuffy, I'm a professional, meaning I do a great job and I care about the people that I serve. And
yes,
but I could do it in yoga pants and a hoodie just as easily as I could in nice work clothes, right? So,
exactly.
That's just how my personality is. Somebody told me one time when I was first getting started, a veteran in my industry said, "Ariel, I love what you're doing on LinkedIn, but I would caution you against using emojis on a professional platform." And for me,
notice that the emoji next to your name. Okay.
Yeah. So, but for me, it once I got past that stage of my business where I was, the want to serve anybody that fogs a mirror stage, it occurred to me that, if somebody is really turned off by emojis, there are going to be 1,000 other things about my personality that are also not appealing to that person. So we might as well just go ahead and get that out of the way. And I feel like it's such a blessing to be able to show up, in a pretty blatantly honest place and have people, allow people to make up their mind whether or not I'm somebody that they want to hang out with. So I think it's really, really pretty magical. And that's where the unicorn came from. Somebody made like an offhand comment 3.5 years ago that, you know, it was unusual to meet someone who was very like kind of bubbly, people person. But I'm also very highly like OCD, organized, numbers nerd type person. And those two things don't judge my like pile of junk right there. I've been in a bunch of meetings this week.
What's going on with that mess behind?
OCD takes various forms. Okay.
It's very true. Yeah. Well, and it'll be clean tomorrow. Friday is my cleaning day.
You've done a lot. You've posted a lot. Do you still have some of that fear and trepidation that was there originally about people judging you, or does that go away completely? Or let me ask it this way. I know you started doing some things on TikTok and you're kind of starting new. Does it feel a little different when you're starting new as opposed to already having
like,
success?
yeah, like the TikTok gurus are going to be like, oh,
Right.
what is she doing?
Yeah. Well, so starting new doesn't bother me at all. I do have moments where the TikTok is a little bit of a letdown. Like when you build a sizable community on one platform and then you try to go and start from scratch somewhere else, and you're used to getting a certain number of engagement, and you're just like, man, this is a bummer. Like my one comment from my, you know, so that part of it. But in terms of what I share or what I say, that doesn't make me nervous at all. I am the opposite. And this is interesting since you guys are kind of local to me. Maybe you can like psychoanalyze me, but I'm not scared to say anything on LinkedIn. It doesn't bother me at all until somebody that knows me locally, maybe somebody I worked with 10 years ago. There's an ex-boyfriend from 15 years ago that sometimes likes my posts. And I'm like, oh no, you are not this, like, you're not supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to see
I wasn't wanting you to watch that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, you know, on LinkedIn, people get to choose whether or not they want to hang out with me, right? They can choose whether or not they want to follow or engage, and that's on them, and that's perfectly fine. And so I'm kind of just showing up as I am. Mm-hmm. Here locally, I feel more like I should box myself up just a little bit because some of these people are going to have to see me whether they like it or not. If they think that I'm ridiculous and silly, they're still going to see me in the aisles of Publix. They're going to see me at, you know, events at school and charities around town and things like that. And so it does somewhat make me a little bit nervous that local people might judge me or think that I'm, you know, doing something ridiculous. Isn't that weird? And that's why I love what you do, because you have such a huge local support system and local presence. My Greenville Spartanburg network is like itty bitty tiny compared to my entire and I don't mind that. It works for the business that I
well you know, kind of what we were talking about in the beginning. I don't know if you read that book, but the Creative Act. Ruben, he talks about how things like you're talking about, you know, just subtle changes to something that we've already even feel comfortable with, it can make a change, and we learn something from that. And I like to look at those sorts of subtle changes and kind of look at how can we improve? What's that trying to tell me? So I think that's an interesting point. So I wanted to introduce the next guest. Do you want to say something?
This is my question mark. I forgot my question mark.
I like that, Jenny. That is really.
I thought it was a hook. Yeah.
But you know what? To me, you said psychoanalyze. But it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like when you don't know people, it's okay to be a little bit more real. You know what I mean? But
there's nothing to lose, right? You already don't know them. So who cares?
Right. But it's like when those locals, you're like, oh, do they think I'm stupid? Do they think this? Do they think,
So we've got another guest today. And so the plan for you that are watching is to make sure you comment, make sure you say hello in the comments. If you have a question for either one of our guests, do that. And now we're going to introduce Heidi Rue.
Heidi Rue,
who has got the coolest job, I believe. Is Heidi there? Hello, Heidi?
Yeah, I'm here. Let's see.
Okay, good. Can you turn your video on so I can see you?
Uh-oh. She left us again.
No, at the stage there.
Yeah, okay. Well, here.
Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, we just don't have the video, but that's all right. We can talk to you.
I'm so sorry. I'm pressing it, but it's not coming.
Oh, yeah. It clicks her out when she does that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Try to press Control E.
Doing
Like
and
if
then
I
it,
hover above the camera thing, it says press Control E.
yeah, that's what I did, and it wasn't. It wouldn't let me start from the beginning, and I thought maybe it was just because I wasn't allowed in yet.
Oh no, huh? It might be in your settings at the bottom of StreamYard.
Yeah, I'm trying to press that too, and it's not letting me do anything. I don't know why.
Oh, that's all right. We're going to put her back on here and we're going to talk to her.
Well, we are in a minute.
Oh, devices. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
it won't let us.
She
put her
clicked out, and so we'll bring her back in. But Heidi is a voice actress, right? So she does voiceovers. I think that's so cool. I've never talked to anyone who does that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that is actually the method to her madness not showing up here today. She's just wanting us to hear her voice.
It's just the voice, yeah.
Now, I want everybody that heard that voice to kind of, in your mind, what does Heidi look like? Because Ariel, wouldn't you agree? I don't know if you watch The Voice or something like that. You always hear somebody.
Always fun.
They turn around and
you're like, hey, wait a minute.
Who is this person?
Okay. Anyway, well, Heidi, are you there?
I'm here. I don't, and I am so sorry. I literally use this all the time for stuff. So I don't know what's happening with the camera.
Hey, you know what?
I
We
was
just
just
talked about Rick Rubin's book, and we're going to have a live video podcast that doesn't have video on with it. It's all about the challenge there. But
there's really nobody there because this is just an AI. We made up again.
Right.
No, but
I do have an AI voice, but this is me present.
Yeah, an AI voice. Now, what does that mean?
So I've worked with a company. I can't necessarily say the company, but where we've created a voice, a synthetic voice of mine. And what they use it for is a lot of times like publications, especially newspapers and stuff. It does make more sense to have an AI voice go through publications because things change so quickly, because you need it updated so frequently. It's really hard for a voice talent to be able to keep up with the demand, to be able to do that for like newspaper publications. And so an AI synthetic voice works so much better. And so I've worked with them. They're a very ethical company. Not all of them have been. I've talked with a couple, and this one I just chose to go with because they're very ethical, and they still let you have control over your voice, but you basically, it's a way to kind of make passive income as a voice talent, which we never were able to do before. So that's one of the good parts about all the technology changes. But there also are a lot of companies that aren't pro voiceover talent either. So that makes it a little difficult to navigate. But
yeah, you rarely hear it. You're like, that's one of the positives of this change into AI and that passive income. But that's awesome, though. That's great that they're utilizing that.
Yeah. Now, how did you get into this line of work? How did you? Was it acting, camera acting, or what's your background that got you into doing some of the voice acting?
Well, yeah. So I've done a lot of on-camera stuff like growing up, but I just never thought that was a job that I could do. And I wanted to go into radio. So radio kind of got me started in voiceover because there was a guy there. He worked evenings, and he said, oh, do you do voiceover? Because I could listen to your voice all day. Great pickup line. Yep. He married me, and he got me started in voiceover. Yeah.
I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it totally worked for him. So he helped me get into voiceover, and we left radio years ago to do it full time, as well as on camera stuff. As you can tell by my on camera presence today, how good it goes, how good it's going.
Now I've got to tell you a funny story. So I worked for a company years ago. It was my first job. I was like 19, but there was a gentleman, another salesperson, and he did voiceover work for a radio station. And he was a smaller guy. He was probably like 5'9", just a small guy. But one day I was in the room when he was doing a recording. It was like a commercial, and out of him comes this radio voice
Mm-hmm.
that is nothing like the physical.
What you say.
I couldn't believe, and that's kind of how I learned that he did that, because I don't know if he was actually practicing or what.
Mm-hmm.
But is that something that you see a lot, Heidi? It's like, hey, where does this say it's a deep voice or just a unique voice that doesn't necessarily match the physical look?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, so my husband and I also own Atlanta Voiceover Studio, which is a training facility and a recording studio. So it is amazing sometimes to see some of these students, even kids. I mean, we've had like middle schoolers. There was one guy that came in and he was probably 13 years old. And when he opened his mouth, I thought it was like a 55-year-old man. It was so, I was like, whoa, this just blew me away. So yeah, that does happen.
And hey, but Ariel, you don't have to stay muted. You feel free to just jump right in if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah. If you got a question, what we're trying to do here, you remember some of the English talk shows over in England where all the guests come out at once, and we just have kind of a natural flowing conversation. So Eric says here, oh my God, is that the same Heidi Rue that was on the Eric and Rodney show with Robin? Is that true? Were you on this?
Actually, that's why she's not showing her face.
Oh, is that why she's not showing her face?
Say no more.
I
got you, Heidi.
What I will say is I am friends with those guys, and I saw you on there, and I thought you did an excellent job. I think you've got great energy, and your on-air presence is unbelievable. We just can't see it today.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? Honestly, I saw Heidi on that show. That's where I was like, Daniel, we got to have her on. And then we were talking about Ariel, and I said, they will be perfect to be together.
Yeah.
Honestly, really.
I can't wait to connect with her after the show. I don't know Heidi, so I'm feeling excited to meet her.
I'd like to say that Heidi's also part of the Marvel universe. I just want to say that.
Yeah, the Marvel universe. She does some work for Marvel. Now let me ask you this, Ariel, have you ever done any acting or anything like that? Do you enjoy that type of stuff?
I mean, I think I would enjoy it, but it's not been anything that I don't think I have a voice for it. I have I will say though, the like Southern, so Heidi has a perfectly neutral, beautiful, very intelligent sounding voice. That is not me, but people across the country, for whatever reason, when they hear like a true Southern accent, they get tickled by it. Like they are so excited. And so I feel like it's kind of an unnatural advantage in business because people enjoy my accent. But no, I don't think anyone would pay me money to hear me talk.
No, but it's we might get put in if they need somebody that sounds kind of country. I'd be perfect for it. You know what I mean? And so I'd get stuck in those specific roles that needed my accents. The way I look at it. But I agree with you, Eric. I think that having an accent sometimes is a differentiator, and if you're in a business where there's a lot of competition, well, then differentiating is a good.
You know what, too, I've noticed is that, hey, Heidi put her picture up.
I know. I just, so that way you weren't staring at it. It's a black eye.
It's almost like, there's really no such thing as Heidi.
Yeah. It's an AI.
What I was going to say, though, is like up north, if I go to New York or Chicago and after I speak, I automatically think that it's almost like they trust me and they're like, she's just so sweet. Just because, you know what I mean? They're like, oh.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
God. I used to say that back in the car business. I was like, if you are a female who kind of knows what they're doing, you could kill it in the car business because people, like you said, it's just like, oh, bless her heart. I don't want to say wolf in sheep's clothing because I never considered myself a wolf. I was there to support people, but everybody underestimates you. And I think kind of the same goes for a Southern accent. People just automatically, and maybe the blonde hair, like people automatically think that you're slightly less intelligent than the folks around you. And if you
how long did it
are actually intelligent.
I remember this, Ariel. This is the first time I've ever got a chance to interview you, even though I've known you for a while now. But in the car business, how long did it take you to say, hey, this is something that I could actually do pretty well at? I know that you saw an ad, I think, and it had like, oh man, you can make this crazy money. And
unlimited income potential, right? Like,
and so where was that kind of epiphany moment where you're like, hey, maybe I can actually make some real money doing the car business? Was there a time?
I started making really good money about 4 months in.
Yeah.
So, and I think, yeah, it doesn't normally happen that way. Usually it's like every other business where you have to sort of build up a customer base and work referrals and that kind of thing. And I was just in a really sweet spot where I started right before Cash for Clunkers. Do y'all remember that in like late 2007, 2008? The government was giving a $4,000 credit to get old junky cars off the road. They wanted to reduce emissions by having these people trade these cars in. And I worked for a Chrysler dealer at the time. And so this $4,000 Cash for Clunkers, and Chrysler was matching that. So you take a cheap car like a PT Cruiser and give an $8,000 rebate off of it. It was pretty easy, like shooting fish in a barrel kind of thing as far as selling. So it worked out well for me.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome. So what we like to do is we've got something called ink blots, which is essentially just images that Jenny has found.
Well, I tried to get Daniel to help,
but the idea here is that this image is going to take you to a place, right? We hear a song, we see an image, it takes our mind to it takes our mind somewhere.
Somewhere.
And wherever it takes you.
Yeah. It's like, we showed 2 weeks ago, the go to jail square on the Monopoly board. Well, it took our guest to play in with like his aunt.
Yeah, his grandmother, I think. It was Matthew Wales,
Wales, and he was like, she was vicious with it.
Too.
But that's where he went with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that you just acknowledge what it actually is.
But you'll get the idea.
Will.
Two smart ladies. And what we're going to do is we'll put up an image. Jenny, I'm going to let you pick one there.
Okay.
And then we will talk about it. I will talk about it, and then we'll get y'all's thoughts.
And I'm going to make sure you're still with us, Heidi.
I'm here. I'm here.
He's here.
All right. I hope this is not y'all are.
I hear that voice.
I hope you're not too young.
No.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Oh
yeah.
Now that is a Sears catalog. I do remember that laying around
coming in the mail.
Yep. And I would flip to certain parts of it. I don't know if I'm going to say.
I think we can guess.
It was Sears, okay?
That's one of those things I just started talking before I really thought it through.
Yeah.
So Ariel Lee, where does seeing that book, where does that take you? What do you think about?
I mean, I remember, and I don't know if it was specifically Sears, but I remember diligently, and I've always been a little bit OCD, but any catalog like this that came to my house as a child, I would flip through every single page and I would circle any little thing that I wanted. I would dog ear the page like I was making a list of everything I was going to get, which obviously
Ariel, I did too.
Yes.
Too.
So like it was my job. I went through every page of these catalogs, making sure that I didn't miss anything that I might want.
Well, that's cool though. You like nice. I know you like nice things. You've said that you like nice things, and sometimes going ahead and picking something out, it kind of motivates you a little bit.
Not all of them or any of them, but I'm just diligently looking at toys and clothes and.
How about you, Heidi?
Oh, yeah. I remember. Now, I don't remember if we specifically got the Sears catalog, but this was like my OG fashion magazine. Like, this is how I got my fashion inspiration. We're looking through these. In fact, even as like a young kid, I know most people would like go straight to the Sunday comics, when that comes in on Sunday. Not me. I would go to all of those ads yes, and look through and look at the clothing, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Now, do you still like? So I work for a company called Travers Tool, and Travers, they had a catalog. I don't know that they still do. Do y'all like having a hard copy of something to thumb through, or do you do all of your shopping and kind of wish making online now?
I do all mine online now.
Me too, pretty much.
It's gotten pretty brutal, but
Yeah. Yeah, the catalogs are just, I think, outdated.
Well, you know
now.
what though? This actually, after bringing this up, it brought back to me the Toys R Us catalog, because Daniel has a little sister she's 17 years younger than me, and I remember saying, I want to get you something. She had a wallet. She opened it. She pulled out something she had ripped out of the Toys R Us catalog and unfolded it. It was a picture of a little cleaning set. And I went and bought it for her.
A little cleaning set.
Yeah, it was a little broom and stuff, but she had folded it up, stuck it in her wallet so she could actually show somebody that's what she wanted.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Aww.
And that's good. And to this day, she loves to clean.
Sure.
Now she's got 3 kids to clean up after. So.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to bring up, you want me to bring up something else, Daniel?
Absolutely, I do.
Well, okay, I'm going to. Let's see here. All right, I see one.
Whoa.
Anybody.
And the Muppets.
Oh.
It's the Muppets.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember that what's the guy that plays the drums, the animal? That's who I always related to. So when I see the animal, I always thought he was cool. And I always like to hear. Now, Kermit the Frog, he's more of the MC, right? But I like the Muppets. I always thought they were funny. I don't know that they take me to a specific.
They take me to a place.
They do. Ariel, did they take you anywhere?
Nowhere specific. The only thing I ever retained or remember from the Muppets was Miss Piggy chasing after Kermit. That's kind of the first thing that popped into my mind, and how funny I thought that was as a kid.
I love that. That's right.
Yeah.
Miss Piggy loved Kirby, didn't she?
She'd call him Kermy.
Yeah.
What about you, Heidi?
Have you guys met people like that in real life? Like, I have that thought quite often, honestly. Like, this woman's like Miss Piggy chasing after Kermit. Like, anyway, no name.
That's what.
As a matter of fact, yeah. No, I had forgotten about that. But that whole dynamic, Miss Piggy, she put the moves on Kermit, and he played hard to get for the most part, didn't he?
Yeah, until he had no choice but to say I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
What about you, Heidi? Anything?
Okay, so this actually brings up some shame because I can't do Kermit's voice. And I feel like as a voice talent, that should be just something that we can all do. And I can't do it.
That was good, Daniel.
Well, that's Deborah Allison just said she'd like to hear Heidi do one of the Muppets voices.
Maybe I could do Monster. Maybe. It's been a minute.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man. So you can do different voices, Heidi. I mean, you can kind of change your voice.
Well, the character voices aren't necessarily my specialty. Commercial is more my specialty, which that requires a range. My husband is really good at that. But as a voice talent, I know I always feel like most people that get into voiceover, that's why they get into it, because they want to do all those different voices. And I'm like, I got English and I can go a range of Southern accents, and that's about as far as I go.
Nice. Can you give me a
Heidi,
little
that's
Southern?
funny because I can also do a range of Southern.
I know, I can too. I love your Southern.
Oh,
there it is.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Heidi? Also, I'm gonna bring this up because I saw one of your posts about doing voiceover and the different things that would help that you might not realize help. And number one was beatboxing. And I told Daniel that because as a young child, he was a beatbox king.
I was kind of a beatbox. Now, I made a lot of noises. I've always, kids in school would want me to do these noises, do these beats. And so, yeah, that was an interesting thing. I would have never thought that beatboxing would have helped.
Well, wait a minute. We got to hear you do beatbox. If I'm doing a Muppet, now it's your turn.
Yeah, I go, oh my gosh. Thanks, Heidi Roo. You don't show your face.
This is the last time they're ever going to have me on.
Yeah.
No, Heidi.
I'm gonna think of it. In the show, I will do a beatbox.
Okay.
Because it's brilliant. I'm not even kidding.
No, she's setting me up. It's one of those things. If I do it for a long time, I can start kind of getting it back. But
actually, downstairs, I said, throw me a beat.
I can do like a laser.
No. You need to do your.
And then I can do.
No.
I mean, but these are talents, Jenny. I'm giving them my talent. I'm trying to show off here.
He does that. You know.
Yeah, I thought, and then we'll just put it all together. And
Yeah. he did all of sound effects for Star Wars.
yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah. And,
Oh
that's
yeah.
right.
Oh, nice.
Chewbacca, yeah.
Yeah.
He did that.
I got a little velociraptor that lives in me as well.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was rapping. I was informed that it was called. That's what my mom comments again. I thought it was rapping. She said, "Daniel, quit that rapping." I said, "Mom, that's not rapping. That's beatboxing."
All the cool kids are doing it.
Oh.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to bring another photo up.
Okay.
Oh.
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 Oh, now
This
see,
one-
that took y'all somewhere.
No, this took, and I can tell you exactly where it took me. And Daniel knows, he saw my post this morning. So it's World Alzheimer's Day. And my grandpa passed away in 2006, so 16 years ago, as a result of Alzheimer's. But the picture that I shared along with it this morning is us sitting on his porch swing. I'm about 2-3 years old. He's got his pipe. I can smell the pipe. But we spent countless hours on his porch swing when I was growing up, and it took me immediately back there. So
I can see that. And see, I didn't see that. And actually, so when you just, your face
Yeah.
immediately went,
Aw.
yeah.
Now, you're doing a walk. Obviously, you had a close relationship with him, and he meant a lot to you. And you continue to. You've got a walk that you're doing for Alzheimer awareness in Spartanburg. Is that right?
yeah, so my company is the national presenting sponsor. So we are big partners with them regardless. But because it's so important to me, I'm the regional coordinator for my company to partner with the walk. And so we do a walk to end Alzheimer's on October 28th. It's at Barnett Park in Spartanburg. If anyone is interested in joining, I would love to have you. It's a really, really good time. And it's not strenuous. It's like 2.5 miles, but it's not a fast walk or anything like that. And a lot of times in October in Spartanburg, they have little markets set up downtown. So as you're doing the walk, you get to walk through all the vendors and things like that. So it's really cool, and
that's
I'm
cool.
honored to play a small part in it.
So if you're interested in being a part of the walk, or you want to contribute to the team, which is the name of the team,
The Unicorn Stampede.
the Unicorn Stampede. I love that.
I would have thought nothing else, Ariel.
The Unicorn Stampede. I love that kind of unique idea and a great cause. So go to Ariel Lee's profile, look at her post today, and it's got the details there, right, Ariel?
Yes, sir.
So-
Thank you very much for bringing it up. That was such a sweet memory, Jenny. Thank you.
I know. Well, I'm thankful I put that on there.
Heidi, and it brings up a memory for me as well. But first, I want to hear
Heidi,
Heidi's.
where does it take you?
Oh gosh. Well, not as serious as Ariel's. But as a kid, I remember I can't even remember where this porch swing was, but a bunch of my siblings, I'm the oldest of 4, we were all sitting on a porch swing, and apparently whoever installed it didn't do a good job, or maybe we just were, real muscular as children. But it fell and we went tumbling. And I just remember my bum was sore for days after that. No broken bones, thankfully, but yeah, it was, oh man, not fun.
Now, was this in a tree or on a porch, Heidi?
It was on a
tree or in a
porch.
porch.
No, it was on a
Yeah.
porch. Yeah. I know, a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. See, isn't it funny how just something like that? That's what Daniel and I we're trying to see with these ink blots, how it just makes your mind immediately go somewhere.
Right, a story, an event, a person.
Kind of like a song. You hear a song and you're like, oh, that makes me think of 3rd grade when I.
But ironically, very similar to Ariel's situation. And I did see her post this morning, and I did see that swing, and it looked like it's hanging from a tree limb, and it reminds me of my kids when they were with their grandpa, not my dad, but my ex-wife's dad.
Mhm.
And and they had great memories of that swing, you know, and he would just sit out on that swing and they would run around and jump on it with him. And so very similar vein there to what Ariel. So, all right. What about another ink blot, Jenny Winnie?
Well, okay. All right, Daniel, let's see here. You know what? It doesn't have to be anything spectacular.
Oh,
well, okay, wait a minute. This is pretty spectacular, but anyway.
Now, I'm not. This takes me back to basically who I am as an individual, right? I know it has nothing to do with candy,
right? But nerds. Yeah,
that's the.
Me too, a little bit.
No, I always actually love nerds. Are you a candy person, Ariel? Do you like candy?
I do. I'm a chocolate candy person for the most part. Definitely prefer that over like a sugar-based candy. But this actually takes me back to Feral Kia, like circa 2010, 2011. The QT on Asheville Highway had just opened up, and me and my fellow workers there were so excited about this QT, and I don't know why, but we would make a trip up to the QT every single day and get one of those slushies and a Nerds rope. Super healthy afternoon snack, right? But I don't know why we thought that was an appropriate thing to eat every single day. But that's what we did.
Nerd rope. And so all of you and all the sales folks would go up there and grab you a little. You know what though? QT, when they first opened up, I loved going into QT.
It was incredible because they had the cheapest gas. They had like 49-cent drinks. I mean, it's not like that anymore, but it was fancy for Asheville Highway back then.
God, yeah.
It was wait a minute now.
And they'll get you in and get you out.
He's taking it a different direction.
Nerds, the answer to the question, what do you call homeschool kids?
Oh, wow.
I think that was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Eric
is
but
inappropriate.
Now, you know what? For me, I remember opening both sides and pouring it into my mouth to get the combination of grape and strawberry at the same time. That's what you call the kid that was very muscular, Heidi. I also broke the swing. Where does it take you, Heidi?
Oh, well, I call that smart, Jenny Winnie, by the way, of combining it.
I've never felt more validated in my life.
This brings me back to my parents have run a kids camp in the summer. They were both teachers. So they ran a summer camp since I was 7 years old. I'm in my 40s right now. So they've been doing it a long time. And they would always have a canteen, during the afternoon. And Nerds was one of those candies that was just always there. And all of my friends would get it. And we would do the same thing, Jenny Winnie, is like combine it together. Yeah. We lived on the edge.
I was like, you know what? Who eats just the grape and just the strawberry? It's kind of like,
Yeah, you get a little bit of.
It's two great tastes that taste great together.
Now, I'm sure there's some people out there that wouldn't start on the grape until they finish the strawberry.
Oh, I'm sure.
You think?
Yeah.
And then others, they want a little, mix them together. So nerds tell us a lot about people. What else we got?
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go with number 13.
Oh, yeah. It's a big pile of leaves.
Oh, wow.
A big pile of leaves. We are approaching the fall season.
In 2 days.
And I know that raking leaves, doesn't it make you feel good to rake leaves?
No.
I mean, you see your progress. It's like, you know exactly what's been raked, what hasn't. And sometimes if you're in a really focused mood, you might.
Wait a minute, let me think about it. No.
Okay.
Definitely does not make me go rake leaves. Heidi, where does this take you?
Oh, yeah, I know. I feel like raking leaves, too, is kind of that thing that at first it sounds really good. But then after the first few minutes, you're like, and I'm done. This is ridiculous.
Can I get a vacuum cleaner out here?
It's like vacuuming for the outside.
Yeah. But so I know I told you that my parents were teachers. My dad was a PE teacher for elementary school. So he as a kid, like, we were so active as kids. We always played outside, and a lot of it had to do with him and his influence on us. So when my dad raked leaves, he did not just rake leaves. He created like a really fun activity for us. And we lived on this big hill with lots of grass. So he would do it at the bottom, and then we would run and jump in the pile. And it was so much fun. And also, I think of the smell. There's a very distinct smell, when you jump into those leaves. It's like, smells like dust or something.
Yeah. I love that, Heidi. How about you, Ariel?
Mine is another grandpa memory. My mom, when I was growing up, we always lived in apartments, so we didn't have a house to rake leaves. But at Grandpa's house, he would rake the leaves like Heidi's dad, put them in a giant pile, and just make sure that it was a really fun activity for me. As an adult, I sometimes think back to those moments like, oh, that might have been a little sketchy, because my dog's favorite place to use the restroom is on the leaf piles that accumulate on the side of our road, like in between when the city comes and picks them up. But yeah, so as an adult, I'm a little bit weirded out by it. But
well, what's funny is that actually, when I pulled up this picture, the article that went with this picture was why you should not put your hands in a pile of leaves.
It was really like to go to the bathroom in
wow.
that. Yes, absolutely.
But depression, some are gone. Okay, thanks a lot. But what I would say is that I love this time of year, right? I mean, it's the end of the summer heat here in the South. Obviously, it gets pretty hot, but football season is starting up, and my dad used to always rake the leaves and have everybody run outside, and the smell, the fall, and the grass cut. And
what did y'all do with them though? I remember my dad, we had to put them in trash bags.
We would rake them onto a big tarp, and then we would take them into a larger pile. So we'd make piles, we'd take the tarp around, rake the leaves on the tarp, then take it to a large and make a huge pile. Wow. The kids would jump in it. Of course, we did that. Dad would do it for us, and then he did it for my kids. And I never had a yard that had a lot of leaves. Do y'all have yards with leaves?
We have so many leaves, but I'm lucky enough and disfortunate enough to live in the city of Spartanburg, so I pay like astronomical taxes. But they do once a week, a truck that's like a vacuum cleaner comes around and sucks them up, so we don't have to bag them. Wow. And I have a lawn service.
You rake them out to the curb. Sorry, Ariel. You rake them out to the curb.
Yeah, I guess that's what they do. Yeah, they just put them in piles on the curb, kind of.
And Heidi,
but they're not bagged.
I am, and we're pretty close to the city, but we just have, we bought like an older ranch house and we've like renovated it. So we've got a nice yard, but my husband, Daniel, I don't know if you're the same, but he loves the leaf blow. Like he just loves to like go on our driveway, blow off the leaves. Like he just loves that. I tried one time do you like it too?
Yeah, I do.
I like the leaf blow.
Yeah. I tried one time when he was out of town. I thought this would be really nice for me to do for him. Y'all, it took me 3 hours and I probably did 10 inches. That's it. They kept just blowing back. It was awful. So never again.
I know, because you'll blow and then it's like it's the wrong direction and then you sweep them back. I'm just like, I try.
Well, I had me a backpack blower. See what your mom says there. I had a backpack blower. Daniel's leaves went in his uncle's empty lot that was cleaned by the landscaper that had to be.
It's like the equivalent of sweeping under the rug. Like, I'm going to just move this over here. It's not my problem anymore.
Passive aggressive. We were neighbors growing up. So,
yeah. That was a little
jab.
A little dig at Daniel. That's okay.
That's okay. That's all right.
Don't forget, I know where you stay down there.
Yeah. So I know that this is not just age equivalent, what I'm about to show, because my daughter, who is 20, she knew exactly. I mean, it took her somewhere too. So.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Yes.
Number one, not appetizing at all. Let me just say
I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it too, Ariel.
I loved it. I feel so sad. Like my daughter, so she's a junior in high school, but she goes to a private school and they don't have square pizza. And it makes me like devastated for her that she didn't get it.
You're like, you live for Friday.
Yeah.
That was pizza. That's, I mean, gosh, yes.
Oh, now at the day school, do they have regular trays like we had, Ariel, or do they have different plates? Do they have the typical lunch tray?
They have a lunch tray, and every day they have a, hey, Henrik, they have a hot meal option, and then they have a salad bar and a sandwich bar. So there's bunches of options.
That just took me to
Hey,
we did not
amazingly.
Yeah,
We
right?
saw last night, Henrik and Laura Louise. This was actually a picture of the meal that they shared last night with the
Looks right up their alley.
We had a nice red wine. Yeah.
Now, what wine would you pair with the square school
Right.
pizza? Nice Pinot Noir.
Well,
Oh my
he's like,
gosh.
this is the finest Boone's Farm that we have.
Oh,
What
man.
about
Ariel,
you,
I
Heidi?
think that's well, I was going to say, Ariel, I think you're onto something. I think somebody should do like a whole Instagram page just based on like the wine pairings with old school lunches that we loved,
Yeah.
like the creamed corn and the corn dogs. Like what kind of wine do you pair with corn dogs?
Yes. Well, you know what? It's like I have a magnet in my fridge that says something like, thanks to my children, I know the perfect wine to pair with chicken nuggets. You know, so it's like,
I love that so much. Oh my gosh.
I don't
That's
know
amazing.
why there's amateur pizza on his screen. He doesn't even like it being on his screen. How dare we show him this?
but he does know that a good box of
So I guess
A
everything.
Bronzia.
Box
Yeah.
wine has stepped its game up since
That's
the
true.
last, 15 years or so. It's definitely gotten better.
Oh, now Ariel is a wine connoisseur, right?
Really?
but I'm not a picky. I just drink a lot.
Okay.
It's not that I'm not like selective. I like wine. I don't care if it's a $5 bottle or matter of fact, I was gifted a few months ago. I did a LinkedIn training for a group of mortgage loan officers, and their boss or whatever sent me a bottle of Silver Oak Cabernet, which funny enough was my favorite. My dad owned a restaurant when I was growing up, and Silver Oak is very good, and we drank a lot of it when he owned that restaurant. But I gave it to my dad because I was like, this is wasted on me at this point in my life, Dad. I'm strongly in that 15 bottle camp. Like, I will buy a $25 bottle from a local vineyard, like Over Mountain up in Tryon has incredible wine. But no, I'm not picky, but I guess I am a connoisseur because I consume a lot of it.
Now, do you know all of the tricks? Now, I've seen people kind of spin their glass and then they'll look for the veins and
The
then
legs.
Yeah,
Mom's like, look at
you know it.
The
You just don't
veins.
care. But yeah, the more legs it has, the better.
Yeah, Mom's like, look at the legs. And I'm like, I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah. Now, this still will make me feel kind of good. Right?
Yeah,
You give
right.
it to me.
Okay,
Give
That's
it
the point.
Those legs are awesome. Hey, Heidi, are you a wine drinker?
Yes. I mean, I like everything. But a lot of my friends though, do you guys listen to the Andrew Huberman podcast?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
isn't he a smart dude?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
so smart. Well, he did this whole episode on alcohol. So now all of our friends are like, yeah, I don't think we're doing alcohol. And I'm like, well, shoot, what am I going to do? Like Henrik said, you got to be selective about the people you drink with. And I'm
Yeah.
like, shoot, those
I
people.
like the
are
last comment the best. Look at the legs of the ladies. Just drink the dang wine. He clearly has life figured out. So.
Yeah, he
That
does.
should be a bumper
No, I
sticker.
mean, his wife also is Laura Louise. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't.
Stunning human being.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I love those answers. So I want to talk. We've got a few more minutes here. What was your next image? And
Oh, no, it's fine.
So
You
what
go
I
ahead.
wanted to do is kind of dig into y'all's expertise a little bit as we kind of close out.
But not about business, Ariel.
Yeah,
No.
I want to talk about doing what you do, Ariel, and presenting your everyday life in a appealing and interesting way. And if someone wanted to kind of build a following like you have, how does that person need to think, right? How do you have any idea? I mean, I know you do trainings and that sort of thing, but if you can kind of simplify that a little bit on how they may approach that, what would you say?
Sure. So in a nutshell, I always say that my secret sauce is in the beginning. I literally spent 27 hours a day on LinkedIn. I have very little boundaries with technology. I just do. And I think that a lot of us, if we were conscious about it, there's a lot of unintentional social media scroll time that we might spend on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram.
Okay.
And we're not doing that for any other reason than just to kind of zone out and waste time, which is fine. I'm a total proponent of zoning out and wasting time. But if you convert some of that unintentional social media scroll time to being very intentional and focusing on building relationships on a platform like LinkedIn, you can transform your whole life. So I spent a lot of time there. And then the key to like the content piece of it, when I'm doing the coaching piece that I do, I always tell people like these words that I'm saying to you right now in terms of content ideas are probably going to sound very foreign. It's going to sound like rocket science. It's not going to sound like it's easy. But the more time that you spend there consuming other people's content and sort of getting a feel for what works and what doesn't, and who, seeing how people turn everyday life circumstances into LinkedIn content. And then you're going about your day and you're like, God, that would make a great message. Like my post tomorrow, I jotted it down earlier and scheduled it for tomorrow morning. One of my good friends sent me a LinkedIn DM and was like, I'm gone for one day and you're commenting on other accountants' posts. And so that struck an idea in my head that, do you get jealous when somebody that you're good friends with comments on somebody else in the same industry? I mean, Daniel, see,
I would like to say yes.
And I don't, because there's a lot of overlap in my space, which is totally fine. But my point was, and it's honestly been on my mind for a while, because I have literally all of my clients come from LinkedIn, but it sometimes I feel like might be awkward for them to publicly say that we are working together, because they wouldn't want to alienate or insult someone else that also does my job. So,
Right.
So anyway, but that's what I'm saying. That was just a random off the cuff comment from a friend that because I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, that's a post right there.
Yeah.
So the more
Sure
time
is.
the easier it comes. It's a muscle that has to be built just like anything else. But
Well, yeah, you kind of test. It's like, hey, I know this is true for me, or in my experience, it's this way. But I also know there's people that their experience is different than mine. So, yeah, of course, you should stalk those people and toilet paper bomb them. Absolutely, yes. So I love that. And at all costs, Donrick. I love it.
I gotta say to Heidi, I really I was drawn to you when you were on Eric and Rodney's show, even if it was their show and not ours.
She told me to check it out.
I did. I really did, because I was just I couldn't believe, people were like, oh, I want to go into acting, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And what is behind the scenes of that, and how you were telling them about how you literally, you have to pay to audition. You have to pay to put it out there on a platform.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just automatically seen.
Oh yeah.
So-
yeah. One year
go ahead.
oh no, it's okay. One year I was booking okay. I was booking Average for Atlanta, and I decided to add up how much I actually made per hour. And then with the expenses deducted from that. And that was even before we had to pay to audition. So that was just headshots and everything else, gas and stuff. And I made like, I think $1 something per hour. And isn't it crazy? Yeah. I know the ROI is not good.
But did you think that? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, but that one, it helped me to release things of like, don't look at it that way. You're building your skills. You're building so much more with what you're investing every year. But that is also why the actors and writers are striking, because before, it takes so much just to book 1 or 2 jobs a year. And so when those residuals come in, that's a way that you can actually make a sustainable income. So we really do need things to be changed a little bit.
How do you kind of overcome? I know probably in your line of work, there's a lot of rejection, right? You don't get every role that you put out there for you? You look at some of these people and maybe you think, man, they're uber talented and I can't do this. Do you have those sorts of thoughts? And if you do, how do you overcome those?
Oh, I have those thoughts all the time, Daniel. In fact, being in this industry, I think has helped build so much resilience in that aspect that I'm so grateful for. But one of the things that we always tell even students that come through Atlanta Voiceover Studio, when those thoughts start coming in your head of like, oh my gosh, I didn't get this, I must be awful, whatever. Don't think about why you didn't book something. Think about why you may book something. Because we've got to change our mind into what value we come to the table with in order to be able to step up with confidence to the microphone or the camera and bring our best to that.
Yeah, I like that. What one tip would you give someone? So I do some public speaking, and what tip could you give as far as maybe pausing or maybe changing voice or anything that comes to mind?
Like your modulation.
That's right. That's a big deal. Anything that you've heard or anything from your experience, what helps with pausing and changing your voice to different things? And that's what I'm talking about.
So actually there's a very distinct formula, and that is chugging nerds with the strawberry and grape mixed together at the same time.
I knew it.
Yeah.
If we only had your video, that's fine.
If you have a video, when she's not speaking, she's got nerves like this.
Yes, exactly. That's the key to energy. No, Daniel, I would say that one of the biggest things, at least today, and at least in the voiceover world especially, is that people care less about your modulation, about the technical stuff, and more about how you authentically show up. So when you are just being real and you and the Daniel that everyone loves, then that's the magic sauce.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
And Ariel, that kind of goes back with what you said in the beginning.
It's the secret to life. Just be who you are. Let yourself magnet other people to you based on that true self, and you'll live a much happier life.
I always like to say the thing that makes my parachute is if I'm speaking or doing anything is just to say exactly what's on my mind. Right? It's the truth is, how can you argue with that? Right. So I call it my parachute. If I'm up and I don't know what to say, well, I might say I'm not sure exactly what to say.
Yeah, that's real.
And it doesn't make you smaller. It makes you. It frees you up. Yeah, that's right. Relatable is a big deal. And I would say that is definitely what Ariel Lee does with her unbelievable LinkedIn profile and posting. If you want to be real, do what Ariel does. I would say it's a gift. So it's not like we can just turn that on and turn it off. I think it takes some work, but we can all probably get a little closer to that. And some people are more gifted at that than others.
They are. I mean, I still can't get, around myself.
I can't write a post and be natural. I think too much. So that's why I do the videos that are too long and nobody watches. But that's okay. Now, Heidi, what would you say? And Heidi, thank you for your time and being a voice actress. And doing that.
I mean, and I knew that Heidi, listen, when I watched you and the way you handled yourself brilliantly, by the way, before, and I was just like, man, you know what? I was just so enthralled with, I love seeing how like Ariel, I've met her before, but seeing how she puts herself out there. And then you just put yourself out there. And that's what I'm trying to do more of. I'm trying to put myself out there without being so concerned with what everybody else thinks.
Yeah. You're doing a great job.
You are, really.
Yeah, she's growing week after week. Now, Heidi, let me ask you this one more question, and before it slips my mind, how can we help you? How can we help both of y'all? Right? Do you have a website? Do you have something that we can help? How can we help promote you?
Thank you. Yeah, HeidiRue.com is my personal website where it has my voiceover, demos and on-camera demos and things like that, and how to book me for that type of stuff. And then also our business, Atlanta Voiceover Studio. If you are interested in training in voiceover, we offer virtual classes. So even if you're not in Atlanta, you can still attend.
Really?
And then we have a full-time sound design engineer too. So we record a lot of things for like A&E networks, and we've done all kinds of stuff, video games, animation, commercials. So if you need any voiceover recording, then we've got you too. And that's AtlantaVoiceOverStudio.com.
Okay.
Atlanta. So connect with Heidi. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with her. I'm sure she has all sorts of links and that sort of thing. Thank you, Enric Blunt. I'm going to put up 2 of these comments.
Yes.
It's always so nice. This is the video. Enric, that's a fantastic idea. And then HeidiRue.com. There it is. So
and connect with Ariel on LinkedIn.
I was going to say, just come see me. But if you're more of a Facebook person, I like friends in all spaces. I just don't post that often on Facebook because I'm scared of what other people think of me on Facebook. So connect with me wherever you may be. It is so funny.
Hey, we get together, we grow, we talk about these sorts of
That's
things, we meet new people, and that's what it's all about.
It is.
So, hey, thanks so much for both of you joining us.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, guys.
It was so much fun. I was so glad. Yes.
All right.
All righty.
Have a great day, everybody. And I'm going to hit the end. Bye.